Baby-Friendly USA, Updated Guidelines and Evaluation Criteria, is a document based on the World Health Organization, UNICEF implementation guidance that was released in 2018. The Baby-Friendly Hospital Initiative is a worldwide initiative, and Baby-Friendly USA is the accrediting body in the United States. So what the document actually contains are guidelines that each maternity care facility must follow, in addition to the specific standards and evaluation criteria that the facilities must meet in order to become a baby-friendly designated facility.
The Baby-Friendly Hospital Initiative was launched in 1991, and it remained relatively unchanged for more than 25 years. We saw it as an opportunity to bring new life into the Baby-Friendly Hospital Initiative. So we convened an expert panel, and we discussed the changes that WHO put into the implementation guidance for the Baby-Friendly Hospital Initiative, and looked at the ways we might customize it for the United States. Great news is that the evidence does support the 10 steps to successful breastfeeding, pretty much as they were originally written, with some updates to reflect some of the more current practices that we've learned along the way. This work is so extremely important. We have the opportunity to really set the foundational health for the next generation of Americans. And we want to make sure that they have the very best start, that they have everything we can give them to grow healthy and strong bodies so that they can be strong and productive citizens.
The baby-friendly designation is really a high honor. There are a lot of facilities that strive for that because it demonstrates that hospital or facility is offering, providing the highest level of maternity care to its mothers and babies.
The United States is far ahead of many countries in terms of adoption of the BFHI. We have more than 1 million births in baby-friendly designated hospitals. 28% of our births in the United States occur in baby-friendly hospitals.
Standards are crucially important, as is the accountability of the Baby-Friendly Hospital Initiative process. So the standards are minimum benchmarks which hospitals have to achieve. So I think it's crucially important to understand that the accountability that Baby-Friendly USA provides to hospitals really improves practices.
If we didn't have standards, every healthcare provider would be able to practice in accordance with their best judgment. And many times that's great, but it isn't necessarily aligned with the evidence. Sometimes people's best judgment is aligned with their own personal experiences, and we all have a whole array of good and bad experiences. We want to make sure that an individual's judgment is not impaired by their experiences, and it's really more informed by the evidence. While everything in this document is got a fresh new look, there's a lot that folks will find familiar. So we don't want hospitals to worry about a lot of radical new changes. The evidence for the 10 steps to successful breastfeeding is strong, and most of those practices remain in place exactly as they currently are. The new guidelines document is far more robust than our current document. We've put a lot of good information in around the practices and a lot of references to support the practices. We've included a rationale for each step so folks understand why they're implementing a step, not only just what they need to do to go about the practice.
One of the most crucial updates is to include the International Code of Marketing of Breast Milk Substitutes in Step 1. That is now Step 1A. And so the International Code of Marketing of Breast Milk Substitutes, the fact that it's included now in the 10 steps is so crucially important because it does really drive practice.
And we've built in some really exciting new important features. We have a focus on racial equity, we have a focus on competency, we have a focus on safe implementation of practices, and a focus on improved communication between the direct care providers and mothers.
The beauty of the Baby-Friendly Hospital Initiative is that equitable implementation of care throughout the system, so that regardless of the mother's characteristics, that they receive the same care at each facility.
It's really essential that we make sure that the same care practices are given to every mother and every baby, regardless of their infant feeding decision, regardless of their racial and ethnic background. Standards really promote evidence-based care, and it makes sure everyone receives them.
We have modified our documents and audits and resources provided to hospitals to include the highlight of the importance of collecting data by race ethnicity. Baby Friendly USA has always required data submission from baby friendly designated hospitals, but in this case we are raising the awareness and focusing on the importance of equitable implementation of care across all race ethnicities.
One of the big changes to the 10 steps to successful breastfeeding is to step 2, and its new focus on competency verification. So we have in the past focused in on a certain number of classes or topics and education, hours of education, but step 2 now focuses in on competency verification. The new step 2 is focusing in on verifying not just the knowledge of our healthcare providers and staff, but their skills and their positive attitudes towards a particular practice, and making sure that they know how to practice it with a whole array of families so that they all have a positive experience.
One of the benefits to the hospitals may be that they find that this is less expensive than sending their staff to the 20-hour course. So we'd like to make sure that hospitals are aware that this could be less costly, and that they could provide in-house competency verification and training where identified gaps in knowledge and skills are shown. With the updated Baby Friendly USA guidelines and evaluation criteria, there is a renewed focus on the safe implementation of practices.
The baby-friendly practices are safe, they're evidence-based, and they're effective. It's really important that we focus in on how we go about implementing those practices so that mothers experience them in a positive way, and that we as practitioners feel comfortable that we know we've looked out for the well-being of our moms, and that the mothers and babies and all family members who are in the room are safely implementing the practices.
We want to ensure that hospitals are not implementing practices at all costs, but are rather using their clinical judgment to evaluate patient safety and implementation of the practice, and providing individualized care to all of their patients.
Some of the things that we've done to really infuse an important message to hospital staff on how we want them to interact with with patients is we've infused guidance on meaningful conversations that we'd like to see healthcare providers and staff have with mothers, families, each individual. And we've come up with an acronym called ENCOURAGES. So Baby Friendly USA encourages meaningful conversations. And those aspects of ENCOURAGES have been built into the guidelines and evaluation criteria. I think the culture change that has taken place over the last 10 years with regard to maternity care practices to support breastfeeding, as well as the adoption of breastfeeding as the norm for feeding infants in this country, is really exciting.
We provide great resources and support to our hospitals through the process of becoming baby friendly. We have our standards, but we are here to ensure that hospitals are successful at this process, because in the end, our mission is really for hospitals to provide the best care to moms and babies. And we feel confident that they are the highest level of evidence-based care to provide to hospitals in the U.S.